Hello, and welcome to an EPC repair guide. I know we usually do teardowns, but today we're doing something a little bit different. We're taking a look at the HoloLens 2. This model specifically needs to have its battery replaced. Unfortunately, although it functions, the battery only lasts for about 5 minutes, and the model itself can't actually run while the battery is being charged. So luckily we were able to find a aftermarket battery. We'll go ahead and take it apart and get that thing in there. And I'll show you how in the meantime. First thing to do, you don't see any screws on the outside of here, because what you actually have to do is take this knob and just pull. Now, it wasn't exactly made easy. So as you can see on the inside there, we have two of these really small hex bit screws. Let's see, maybe we'll try a T3. Except for this one, I'm going to need this skinnier driver. There we go, and the T3 was the right size, I think. Yeah, it was. It's coming right out. Yeah, it's stuck on the bit. Now, I believe there's a second one down there at the bottom, hidden just a bit. An absolutely dreadful angle for filming. And that is not coming out until I get, maybe? So now that those two are out, there are two more, forgot to mention. The top corner. Forgot about those last time I tried to take it apart. Yep, T4 to get those out. Much smaller screws that need a larger head. Funny. Although, looking back, T4 fit this as well? Yeah, no, T4 would have been a better fit for the originals too. Keep that in mind. Be smarter than me. Alright, with those 4 screws out of that hole, the next thing is we're going to take off this casing, which is harder than it sounds. It's currently being held on by clips all the way around, which basically means I'm just going to need to try and pop it out. Unlike most normal models I work on, there's no easy, convenient way to do this. I'm just going to have to find a gap and make it work. But that makes sense. Models like these were not designed to come apart once they're put together. Luckily they didn't rivet them, so they are repairable. But it's not easy. There we go. Now, you can't just yank it right off. You'll see there's a ribbon cable that goes from this case, say the charging port and the power button indicator light over here, to the main board right here. You'll have to you'll have to undo this ribbon connection right here, and then you can take it off. First time I took one of these apart, I did not know about that. I almost damaged it. You'll see these headsets use a type of heat
spreading material that will get everywhere if you touch it. It's almost clay-like in consistency. Just be careful about it. We're going to try and reuse it today if we can. But there should be no reason why you can't replace it with your own kind of thermal material. Now we can see the battery that we're aiming for right here. But to get that battery off, we're going to have to get off this cage that protects the board, because there's the ribbon cable right here. I believe it's the one right here that goes to the battery that we need to disconnect. So let's see, are those still TR4s? Yes, they are. Looks like there's 3 on each side, total of 6. Very small screws. And then you have the slightly longer screws are going to be the ones that are right here and right here, so make sure you don't get those mixed up. Now, if I remember correctly, this thing should just come right off, but it's going to have even more of that thermal material underneath. Just be a bit careful with it. And here you can see the little ribbon cable I was talking about that you can disconnect. So now that we have the ribbon cable disconnected, the goal is going to be get this battery off. The battery right now is held on by these adhesive strips, kind of like what you use to hold a picture to a wall, though a little bit stronger, I've found. And those strips themselves are held on by these pieces of non-conductive tape. I assume it's non-conductive tape. Let's get those off of here. This is the part I have to be the most delicate with, because in the past I have damaged a battery when trying to remove these strips, but that's just because all 4 of the strips broke while pulling them out, meaning I had to try and get the battery out other ways. And this aluminum shell covering up this presumably lithium-ion battery is very thin. So, to get these out, what I tried to do is to pull it very slowly, grab it as close to the end as I can. I have to pull towards me, which imparts more torque onto it than I would like. But I can't pull straight down because I'd be scraping against this and risk cutting the cable. It's very slowly pulling these out. There we are. Luckily that one came out really easy. And the same with the rest. These middle ones I can pull down a little bit more because there isn't this annoying lip in the way. That's what we try to avoid. A little bit breaking off. See if we can salvage it. me just get my hands on some of the adhesive strip. There we are. There we are. Well, went wrong a little bit, but we fixed it. And then the last one. Alright, and I believe the battery itself should come right out. Now we just have to go and get the new battery. Alright, now that we got this battery out, we can go ahead and swap it out with a new one. Got this right here. It comes with the adhesive already pre-applied. Should be easy. Let's go ahead and take all those strips off. Now, truth be told, this isn't actually the same model as the one we just took apart. The one we just took apart was actually for parts needed for a separate one. This is the one that actually needed the battery replaced. You know, give you a peek behind the curtain. So I guess we'll just place that right in there, up against the bottom. Not really much room for it to move around, so I guess it'll just flush. That will make sure this connection is reseated properly. Kind of hard to see that. There we go. Now we just follow that process in reverse then. Which would have been putting the shield back on. Try not to get my hands covered in thermal goo, but what can you do? Go ahead and put those long screws in first. Lucky for us, the hard part is over, so reassembly is the easy part, especially with something that doesn't have that many parts. Now all we can do is hope that that battery replacement was the only thing this thing needed. Of course, that's always going to be the part of the repair process is diagnosing. You can only notice one issue at a time. Sometimes you might be treating just the symptoms instead of the root cause. Looks like all the thermal gunk makes it a little more difficult for the screw to get back in. I wonder if it acts as its own form of Loctite. Alright, now we can put that cover back on. The ribbon cable plugs in right there. Trying to straighten out the cable as much as possible so that I can plug it in, then reintroduce that bend before closing it up. There we go. Just have to find the way for it to seat properly. And then it goes on real easy. Work it all the way around. Just make sure it's all snapped in place. And the last thing is going to be the screws. There was that one screw that never quite came out. So we'll sink that one first. And then we'll do the other long one because we already did the first long one. And now the last two screws that were in the upper part. You say, filming this must be terrible, but you know, but a HoloLens would make it easier. And lastly, I believe this should just snap back into place. There's some gears on the inside, but this should find its home. There we go. Now let's see if we can turn it on. Not sure if the battery's even charged. It doesn't look like the battery's charged right now, but we'll have to test that later. And that was how to replace the battery in the Microsoft HoloLens 2. If you liked the video, why don't you give it a like? And if there's something else you want to see us take apart or fix, leave us a comment down below. Maybe we have it. Maybe we need to fix it ourselves. Thank you all for watching.